Thanks for taking the time to have a look through these videos. I hope you'll find them informative. They're definitely no substitute for getting on a course and putting a lot of these concepts that we're going to explore into practice out on the mountains themselves. Now, there is an enormous amount of information and a lot of current research going on looking at snow dynamics and avalanches and so forth. So I've really just tried to concentrate on what's going to be useful for us. We are not avalanche forecasters or weather forecasters. What we are hill walkers, climbers, skiers and mountaineers. And we need to know enough really to be able to make informed decisions about where we're going. And that's what these videos kind of aim to start giving you a background to be able to do. So the Be Avalanche Aware process, it's very well established now and it's extremely good. And we're going to kind of talk through this, covering all of the topics and adding a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of life to some of these and a bit of explanation. You may have questions by the end. You may not have grasped all of it, which is fine. That's why we're going out on the hill and we're going to be addressing these points when we do the practical side of the course. However, keep the questions. We will address them, and I hope that at least by having watched these, the ideas will have been seeded in your heads. So before we get too bogged down on avalanches and get a little bit freaked out by all this stuff happening around us, let's just remind ourselves why we go out in winter. It can be absolutely stunning. This is the north face of Ben Nevis in March 2022. It is beautiful. Just climbing on the north face there. This is the next day, actually, on the grey corries. Notice there isn't a single midge in sight. This is Lee Attack back in 2018. This is over in the Cairngorms. Grey corries again. And it's beautiful. However, winter can also be absolutely bloody awful. You can have really, really nasty snow conditions that can just be very, very difficult. Zero visibility. We don't have many daylight hours to play with. So being able to navigate in whiteout conditions can be absolutely essential. Loose powder snow can be very, very difficult and energy consuming to walk through. And on a windy day, even when the sky is actually clear, visibility can drop massively. So the wind can pick up bits of snow and absolutely flap it around everywhere, kind of creating this kind of environment that you're seeing here. I don't know if you can see near the top of the screen, it looks like it's a little bit dirty, but that's literally bits of snow blowing around. So visibility can be really reduced if it's windy. Add to that, you've also got potential hazards such as cliffs and cornices, which need to be avoided. And we'll come on to a lot of these hazards throughout these videos. So there's an app you can download, Be Avalanche Aware, and you can search for it in both the App Store and Google Play. Just type in Be Avalanche Aware and that's the symbol that you should see appearing. It's a very good idea to download it, and also when you open it for the first time, allow it to access location, so that it can provide you with warnings and so forth when you're entering into avalanche risk areas. We'll be talking through this app, bringing to life some of the points that it raises and the whole Be Avalanche Aware process. And it's quite a straightforward process and it's fairly self-explanatory. But there are a lot of factors here that might be new to people who are new to winter. So when making any decision in the winter mountains, always consider these three factors and which ones you have control over. The avalanche hazard, weather and mountain conditions. Add to that you and your party's personal skills and experience, and the landscape that you intend to visit will inform your route decision. What can you do that day? So all of these three factors should be considered during the next three important phases. And the first one is planning. So if I haven't been up to the Highlands in a while, or out in the Lake District in winter, my first consideration in the week, generally leading up to my trip, is to start having a look and following what's going on with the weather and the ground conditions. I'm thinking, who am I going to be with? Who am I going out with? What is their level of experience? What kind of kit are they likely to have? And where am I going with people? Are we going to be looking to do the Leotat Traverse in winter, or are we going to the Cairngorms? So just because the Cairngorms might be more rounded in general and less knife-edge ridgy, they still can pose a number of considerable hazards and can be equally as dangerous. So the planning phase is in fact the most important phase. Indeed, 3 of these videos are dedicated just to planning. However, if we've done our planning, we can then apply what we've learned and what we've planned to our journey. So as we start going out on our hill day, whatever it happens to be, climbing, walking, skiing, whatever, is the weather and the sort of ground conditions as we expected, as it was forecast, as we expected to see? How are we actually feeling, as the day goes on? Did we get enough to eat the day beforehand? Are we starting to flag a little bit? Are we realising that we're not quite as winter hill fit as we thought we were? And what about the landscape? Are we realising that perhaps we've chosen a route that's just a little bit too steep, or what have you? Whatever it happens to be, how are we feeling on our journey? What's going on? And there are also key places. So we can review our decisions at key places or key times during the day. So for example, in winter, I've often got a point of no return because we haven't got many daylight hours to play with. So if we have not reached our summit by whatever it happens to be, 12:30, for example, depending on when we set off, it doesn't matter. That's it. We're turning back. Key places. Is the weather doing exactly what we expected it to do? So my first key place is often when I park up and get out the car. Is it as windy as I expected? Is the weather doing what I thought it was going to do? How am I actually feeling? How are other people feeling? And is the landscape what we expected it to be? So I've had to turn back a few times quite recently just because I couldn't even get along the access track because it was covered in sheet ice. So we have to make decisions at different points that can enable us to either go, do you know what, we've got this far, but I'm not liking this, or the weather's changing, or it's starting to do something different, or people in our group are just struggling, or I'm struggling. It's okay to turn back. This is the process that we're going to be looking through throughout these videos. And we'll start off with weather and conditions.